normals. Alright, so I'm gonna start off by assuming most of you have experienced worse injuries in your life than I ever have, because my whole life I've kind of lived a very risk-free, very careful life that just goes along with my personality. But of course I haven't had an injury-free life. Like, I've never broken a bone. The most stitches I've ever had to get were, I think, like 3, like on my forehead. Just, I've had a pretty cush life and I'm thankful for it. But at the same time, it makes any kind of slight injury that I get, like, way over dramatized for myself. But it's cool. I'm a survivor. And the injury that I sustained recently is possibly the most gruesome that I have ever had. I'm gonna tell you how I got this injury, and I'm gonna warn you, it's kind of pathetic, which I guess is my aesthetic. Pathetic, aesthetic, aesthetic, pathetic, aesthetic, pathetic. That's me. What happened is, brace yourself if you don't like kind of gross-ish looking stuff, you know, shield yourself. This. As you can see, I only have half a fingernail. Also, I'm still figuring out the autofocus on this camera. I know it's focused on my face, and so I put my finger on my face. Problem solving, I got it! But yeah, let me explain. As you may or may not know, I work with children, very small children. And while I was at work, I was inside, my coworker's outside with some of the children on the playground. She pops her head in and says, "Hey, I need an ice pack real quick, somebody fell down," whatever. Pretty typical stuff. I go into the closet where our refrigerator are to get an ice pack from the freezer, as I'm leaving, me, totally not a super klutz at all, goes to slam the door behind myself. And what happens, of course, somehow I manage to close just this finger in the door behind me, directly where the door latches to the door frame. I will reenact it for you now. Bam. Guys, that reenactment was kind of traumatizing. Like, I close doors so carefully now. So I slam my finger in the door. I immediately start seeing the nail fill up with blood underneath it. And so I'm handing the ice pack off to my coworker and I'm like, I think I'm gonna need an ice pack too. The most ironic part is the kid ended up not even wanting the ice pack. I grab an ice pack, ice my finger. This happened maybe, this happened like the day before April Fool's. So who's the biggest fool around? So yes, this injury happened around April 1st, how long ago was that? About a month and a half ago, almost 2 months ago. Now, the nail didn't fall off right away, and it was a kind of a big mystery as to whether or not it was actually ever going to fall off. But it did eventually turn completely, I guess, black, you would say, like bruised, dried, clotted blood under it, whatever you want. And everyone was like, "Oh, it's gonna fall off, Rose, oh my gosh, how are you gonna handle this, your nail's gonna fall off." And I'm just over here like, no, it's fine, I'm gonna be fine. Here's a picture of the nail, while it was still fully intact. My finger was so swollen, like, ugh. Here's a comparison. So over time, I could slowly feel the nail just like not being a part of me anymore. And eventually I did come to the realization that it was detached. It even seemed like I could feel the new nail growing underneath this old shell of a nail that was sitting on top. But I knew that I didn't want to pull the dead nail off myself, because that seemed kind of like, you know, just let my body just do its thing, you know, right? Like, I don't need to force anything. So I figured it would just fall off one day, or the new nail would eventually push it off, and, you know, it'd come off while I was asleep, or something, you know, something kind of. That's not what happened. Almost exactly a month ago, I was hooking up the hose to our portable dishwasher to the faucet on the sink. I guess I didn't hook it on all the way because I was being too careful, and so when I turned on the water, the hose popped off, and I was kind of like, and then I realized that it had knocked my nail off, and I was just like, and I just started screaming like, "Nathan! Nathan!" And he's like, What? And I was like, "It came off!" And he's like, "What came off?" And then he realized what had happened, and we never found the nail. I'm hoping that it went down the drain, but I looked for it. Couldn't find it. So, mystery nail somewhere in my apartment, possibly. But this story has what I'm hoping is a happy ending. As soon as the nail popped off, I could see the new nail growth, and it was maybe like, you know, to here, and now it's grown. It's grown a lot more, so I'm hoping it grows back all the way. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Fingers. I hit the nail on the head, didn't I, there? What is, like, the worst injury you've ever gotten in your life? Or what is, like, the weirdest, gruesomest, like, kind of funniest looking injury you've ever gotten? Let me know about it in the comments. Thanks for listening to my story about my damaged finger. I'm super pumped for VidCon next week. It's gonna be the bomb. If any of you are going, and if it's your first time, I have a couple tips I just want to throw at you. I kind of brought up the idea to Nathan too, to kind of maybe do a like more extensive VidCon tips video. I don't know if he'll be up for it. Let us know if you guys would like to hear some of our like tips for, you know, being seasoned VidCon attendees. We've only been the past 2 years, but you know, like we've learned some. But I have these few that I just want to throw at you guys right now. First of all, bring a notebook or like some kind of like note-taking device with you, not only just to take notes from panels and stuff, but you're just gonna be inspired. You're gonna come up with ideas, and VidCon happens in such this quick, fast blur that it's hard to like retain everything that you come up with. When you come up with cool ideas or just like funny quips or interesting stories or anything at all, write it down, and then also go back and look at it after VidCon's over. I have the tendency to like write all these like awesome notes and ideas and then just like never revisit it. So what you need to do is write down those notes, revisit them after a couple weeks, because once you get out of that kind of like dream world, once you're back to reality, sometimes you can kind of lose that motivation or that inspiration. And so if you have these notes taken down of the ideas you came up with, it can kind of help keep the fire of passion that VidCon puts in you alive throughout the year. My other tip is don't expect to sleep a lot if you really want to get the full experience of VidCon. There's stuff that happens that starts pretty early in the morning, you know, around 9 or so, but then there's stuff that goes on late at night, and there's socializing, and there's friends to meet, and just be expected that you're gonna be tired. Drink coffee, or, you know, do whatever it is that helps perk you up. Just make sure you're not wasting the experience, because it's definitely something that kind of feels magical. It kind of, like I said, it kind of feels like a dreamland, and once it's over, you just like, you find yourself really craving more of it. So those are my first 2 tips. Bring a note-taking device, and don't expect to get a lot of sleep. I'm really excited to go, and I'm hoping to see some of you guys there. So again, thank you for listening to my hopefully somewhat entertaining story about how I am a major klutz. And Bender says she loves you. Meow. Thanks, Bender. Okay, cool. Bye, guys. Oh, God. I definitely don't have pica.